Good morning, friends. I'm your host, Shashi, again with you all on Women Dialogues to create more voice by women and for women. Today is our guest from Kolkata, India, a beautiful, very rich, culturally rich country, place in India. And today's our speaker is Vajanti. She's a founder of Sonali's Cubo and iCubo, and she has so much more than that. And she got very prestigious awards like Dr. Swarnapalli Radhakrishnan Award, Dr. Sarojini Naidu International Award, and so much more. She's doing lots of work, and I especially am so excited to connect with her, to bring her here, to get inspired and to get motivated. So let's hear from her what way she is doing a lot of work, what inspire her, what motivates her, what's her life journey is all about. So welcome Vajanti on Women Dialogues.
Thank you so much, Shashi. It's my pleasure and my honor to be a part of this platform. And I would like to begin by congratulating you for bringing so many women from diversified backgrounds and places on your this one common platform through which people can hear our stories. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Vajanti. It's a great pleasure to be with you today. So, Vajanti, as I was talking about, and I was reading your beautiful biodata where it shows you have done lots of work. I was not even able to mention a lot of details, but I would like you to share with us about your work, about your career journey, uh, along with how you got those all inspiration and the motive and the purpose which keeps you going and having a lot of work. uh, let's start talking about first the place. You are from Kolkata, right? And I
Yes,
feel always it's a one of very beautiful
it
city,
is.
especially in India. So share about the place, and then how you grew up, what kind of journey was there and all.
So, Shashi, yes, I definitely belong to the city of joy, as Kolkata is referred to. But my journey goes way back to further east, which is the state of Assam. So that's where my early life has been. I can say the grounding stones, the making of my character traces me back to Assam, where my father was a tea manufacturer, and we had tea gardens in a place called Naharkatia. It's in Assam, and I used to stay in a small city called Dibrugarh, being the only child, and a very simple life. Getting up early in the morning and winding up very early in the evening, and a very very disciplined life, because though I did not have a military background, but my mom was more like a colonel, you have to get up at this time and eat food at this time and always be clean, and your feet should be clean. So I think where I am today, known as a life skills trainer or a personal branding trainer, I think it all comes from that very early stages of my life, where my first inspiration was my mother, who made me so disciplined and self-dependent. And so that's where my first inspiration comes, because the day my feet used to be dirty and my hair never used to get combed, there used to be a lot of spanking, because that's the bestest way that the parents handle here us back in India, that just spank the child. We don't have 911s to call here and say, you know what, my parents are beating me up. So that is what. And then I think the second inspiration, Shashi, that came for me to take up onto so many philanthropic work now from years that I'm doing is from my dad. Because every time there used to be anyone at a door, asking for help, my father was such an industrialist who never let anyone go empty handed. So most of my inspiration comes firstly from my parents. And that's where, and I never intended to be what I am today. I was an industrialist's daughter. I just knew that these small things are very important in a child's life, where the parents sow the first seed of your character. And my seed was discipline and dedication, and being moral, and being sympathetic towards humanity. That was a kind of characteristic I grew up with. And Then came my boarding back in Missouri. Then came Kolkata, where my college and my secondary school life was here. And most of the time, my parents used to travel because they had to go back to Assam because of the work. So I was very, very independent from a very, very young age. So I think that is something which you know, drew a lot of what should I say, focus on. Me being more responsible for myself, and and my mom was, you know, always like, how, being coming from a rich family, you have servants, you have this, that, but she always made it a point that whenever there were guests at home, I would cook something, and I need to make something for you know, the guests, and serve them on the dinner table. So all of this is that Indian culture which is imbibed in me from a very young age. Probably that's the reason I wanted to do IIHM, or I wanted to do law. That was my early instincts, you know. But then I fell in love, and love made me be in Kolkata, because my husband now, whom I fell in love with, was from this city, which was not allowing me to go to Bangalore to do my IIHM, or, you know, be so focused with law. And so a very different journey started, wherein I did my college in Kolkata, and then I got married. And as I got married, I got a lot of motivation from my family and my friends, who started to tell me that you're so wonderful at laying out tables, and you know, your etiquettes, as they say, you know, your skills. Why don't you work on it? And, you know, back then, Shashi, I'm talking about the years 1990s, you know, where we did not have so many international courses or schools and institutions to look up to these areas, you know, these soft skills. So I did a lot of research on my own. I visited a lot of journals from Indian authors to, you know, teachers from London School of Finishing School or Swiss schools. And I compiled a sort of you know, a sort of a study which is more prone to us, which is more applicable to the Indian community. Because as you know, life skills and soft skills get adapted very differently in each country, you know. So that is how then I started to teach. I was one of the first in my city actually to start teaching table deportment and stuff like that. And it was never stopping after that, you know. It was like one after the other, you know. I had women and models and beauty pageant participants coming and learning their soft skills and discipline, etiquettes. And that's where my journey started with Sonali's Cubo, my entity now. So that was my first work that I started under my Sonali's Cubo. And if you trace back, Shashi, it all comes from the family. So whatever I inherited as a character came out professionally for me, you know. And that's how the journey started. And I think I want to tell people that, you know, one should never be very stagnant with knowledge, you know, that this is what I am and this is what I want to do. I think I always like trying new things, and I liked always, till now, I always want to still learn and grow, because I feel I know nothing. Even today, I know nothing. That's what I keep telling myself, you know, I know nothing. It's what I know is just peanuts, you know, and one should always be porous. So that's when I started to you know, study entrepreneurship, and especially child entrepreneurship, because I felt that it's so important. I used to hear all around the pressure in children and so much of peer pressure, parents do pressure. So I started to teach entrepreneurship to children, and I started doing this very small scale philanthropy work by children for children, like mangoes at them, or making of diyas, or collecting of ration, or giving food away to NGOs. So which was done by children for children. So I realized that just the way I had the discipline, you know, the moral duty imbibed in me, somewhere some parents are not able to do that, or they don't realize the importance of it. And that's where I came into the picture, wherein I wanted that positivity should be viral, you know, it should be contagious. And gratitude should be contagious. It's not taught as a subject in school, but it should be initiated every day. So that's when I started doing a lot of philanthropic projects with children, teaching them entrepreneurship, teaching life skills to women. And that's where my, the other league of Sonali's Cubo started.
Beautiful. And I believe the way you shared about your early childhood experience, about how the discipline, having disciplined life, having this humble background, even though, as you shared, having maybe industrious daughter, having servants, it doesn't make you feel like, no, that's not for me, that's not my job. But whereas you got such a beautiful background with your mother, that yes, you need to cook, you need to serve, it all imbibe, as you shared and you said very beautifully, that it brings your personality, it brings your etiquette, it brings you as a human, which we all value for. So Sonali, when we are Vajanti, when we are talking about it, this your Sonali Cubo, iCubo, you are doing a lot of training, a lot of work for women, children. When you do all these work, definitely it's always empowering and inspiring for others as well. Do you find any movement in your life when you are transitioning, maybe as you said you was thinking about, I want to go Bangalore, but you are then finding your journey, balancing your feeling and emotion, your love, but same time trying to find your own me when developing your.
Shashi, I think there's a transition in any person who's initiated a movement, and I call my work a movement. Because
Yeah.
it's like a movement, because here I am to impact through my skill, through my talks and dialogues which I do
Yeah.
with the community. So just for people to know, when my philanthropy journey started, and on the side by side I was doing my life skills training for children and women, I started to take up these bigger projects, with the corporates and the society makers, wherein I would take up topics like child entrepreneurship and transgender mobilization, and giving more space and front to homepreneurs to come forward with their work. So projects like, if you look up my bio, you would see the Kidopreneur Summit and the Third Eye Summit, and Think Local, Cook Global, or Mrs. Heart and Soul pageant, where even the seniors got a chance to walk the ramp and feel confident about the body. Because here I was talking about मैं अपनी favorite हूँ, which means I am in love with myself, and I am my own best, and I love myself. And we were celebrating body positivity, and we were talking against body shaming. So these are the topics I started to take at a larger level. And this was a transition, because the more you meet people, the more you try and explain to them about what your desire, and maybe you believe in them, but in that particular topic, but to resolute the fact to your opponent in front is a transition, and it was a lot of learning, because when I walked into the corporate world with my first project of child entrepreneurship, it was the first pan-India summit on children under 18, in fact under 17, who are CEOs and MDs, who are studying in schools, but at the same time who are child prodigies. So I did this, one of the biggest pan-India summits on child entrepreneurship. So to walk into a corporate world where maybe you are doing good work, but at the same time, I was operating from home, Shashi. I did not have like a office or a corporate setup where people, you know how it is. You're taken seriously if your front footage is corporate. But even if you're doing corporate work and you're operating from home, see, now the mindset has changed. Now it's work from home, technology. But back then, if you were working from home, it was like, oh, you know what? She's no big deal. She's just working from home. So from there to walk into a corporate business, approaching financiers and approaching sponsors and approaching, like ENY, which was my knowledge partners, or approaching educational biggies like Techno India, or for finance like Shrey. These are like big companies. To have Bengal industry bodies like MCCI to back you up in your first project, it was like a dream come true. And it all happened, I want to tell to people, is because I believed in my project, and I knew it's going to make a difference. And I did not take a no from them. Whenever I got a rejection, I asked them, what is it that you want me to prove? I'll prove that. And then you will not have any other reasons to reject me. So even when I approached the TIE, you know, as you know, TIE is an organization, international organization which supports entrepreneurship. And I went up to them and I said, this is my project and I need your logo and I need your backing. They gave me like, you know what, you get one of the biggies like Ernst & Young, or you get Deloitte or any other biggie, and then we will support you. So if I went to an industry house, they said, you know what, you get a TIE and you get another biggie and we would support you. So I was like, all right, fine. So you basically don't want to take it up on your shoulder. You want someone else supports me first and then you would support me. So that's when, you know, Shashi, I told myself that I have to have my facts correct. I have to be very clear with my audiences and my supporters as to what I want and clear out the doubts. And then if they have no reason to reject me, then it's a win-win. And that's how there was no stopping after the Kidopreneur Summit. And then I went on to doing a lot of other topics, as I told you, whether it was about gender sensitization or it was about bringing homepreneurs up front. Even in the COVID times, I did my first international global seminar called the Homepreneur Summit, wherein I wanted that women who are running micro businesses from home, who are not corporate, but somewhere in between home and the corporate world and who are not getting the recognition they want, they should come forward and talk about their work, their hindrances, and what got them through being successful today, you know. So that is how I did the first ever Global Homepreneur Summit, one of its kind, this year in January. So yes, in the end, I just want to say that you should always ask yourself what next, and what resources you have, and where you are, and what you have, and at least you will fail in being in your original skin, if not anything. At least you would pat yourself and say you tried, and that's what exactly I'm doing till now, you know. So that's a transition for me, and every day I'm learning, and you know, I like platforms like yours when I can share my experience and tell people, you know, it's okay to fall, you know, it's fine, just have your face towards the sunshine, because in that case the shadow falls back. Just keep walking where the light is coming from, you know. You just have no choice. Just tell yourself you have no choice. You have to just get up and walk. As I always say, you have a right to pause, but you don't have the right to stop. So that's it.
Yeah, I think that's very strong and very beautiful message which you are giving. Like, keep going on towards where you find the sunshine and light, and no need to feel if you are falling. It's okay to be fall. So when we are talking about these kind of things, and we know, and we all experience those moments in our life as well. We fall, then we get up. You shared with your experiences, reaching out to one, and then they say, okay, first to them, and then it's like back and forth, the same ball. It's keep rotating, right? And sometimes it is frustrating, but at the same time, it gives us further points or lessons that how we can move forward. So, Vaijayanti, when we are talking about, did you find during this transition time any fall moment which made you feel low and you felt, oh, I should give up, or no, what I should do next? Because we know many times these moments come and we don't come, or we don't turn overnight successful. We don't become overnight as you are today, founder of this beautiful two companies and organizations, and you are awarded so many places. And it seems like very smooth journey, but we know how one has to go through, right? So would you like to share maybe those moments that can inspire and make our audience understand that as well?
You know, Shashi, actually, I would like to again trace back the journey and say life has made me strong, you know, because I've grown up in a community where my parents used to travel a lot. So I had to understand what freedom is and how far I can exploit that freedom. And so it was a pressure on me. Then a lot of decisions I had to take on my own because my parents used to travel a lot. So much of love and understanding and guidance I got from them, but because of their work. And see, now it's easier. You can communicate on video, you can call up. That time, to talk in a place like Assam, there was no direct dialing. You had to reach out through an operator. So it was not easy to communicate also. So many a times, some tough decisions I had to take on my own, you know. Even I would like to tell the audience that as a girl, when I grew up to be a woman, my first menstrual cycle, my mother was not next to me to guide me as to what to do, because she was back in Kolkata and I was in Assam. So whatever I could do with my own sense of awareness, I did it on my own, you know. So life has made me the way I am. I've been independent. I've learned to respect freedom. I've learned to utilize my resources well. And every time I have gone through lots, in the sense that I've gone through body shaming. I've gone through people where they'll say, oh, you know what, life is easy for you. As you say, you come from a rich family, so it's all right for you. You know, you don't have to work hard. You can just throw money, and so what if you're organizing a summit or a seminar or whatever it is. But they don't understand I'm a one-woman army. It's like my organization, everything is on me, whether I'm any decision I'm taking or any interaction I'm doing. I don't have a facade of so-called administrators in my firm. I am a one-woman army. So even if I'm running a seminar where there are 600 attendees and it's a seminar when who's and who is coming, I am solely responsible for it. So yes, there are low times, Shashi. When I did my transgender summit, I think that was the most tough moment for me, because I had no support, even from the family. You know, they said, why do you need to do a summit about transgenders? You have so many different topics. Why? I meet friends. Vyjayanti, why? I meet a stranger. Why? You know what? I told them, why not? Why not? Why can't I talk about transgenders? In fact, when I reached out to transgenders to come forward on my platform, some of them were very sweet. Some of them are very guarded because of the times that they themselves have been coming from. You know, they have received so much of apathy from the society. I don't blame them for the way they are, but for them to build that trust that Vyjayanti is here not to exploit us, but to take our work, our talk, our communication into the heart of the corporate level. It took a lot of rejection, you know. It took a lot of humiliation from some of them. There were times where, you know, when I went up on the stage and I was sitting in one of the panel discussions in the Third Eye, which was a transgender summit, and the very famous, I'm forgetting her name, this transgender, she gave me the mic, Gauri Sawant from Mumbai, the one who's done the Vicks ad, and very amazing transgender. She gave me the mic, you know, that Vyjayanti, I would like you to speak. I cried. The first thing I did by holding the mic is I cried, because I was filled till here. I was seeing my dream come true, where I have fantastic entrepreneurial transgender women on stage with me. There were Wills Fashion India models who are transgenders. There were Lakme Fashion Week models who are transgenders. They're walking the ramp. I had a fashion show in the Third Eye where all of these people came from Delhi, Bombay, Madras, and they were coming to talk that transgenders also have entrepreneurship. They also have a vision. They are why they are. And the Hindi they spoke, or the mythology they recited, they were more than any normal Indian could. So I was elated, Shashi. And that moment, but that wind which I felt in my heart, ushered all that 4 months of trauma away from me. I cried, I sobbed. And through this, I want to tell people that it's okay, you know, even if you're falling and you feel low and you ask the world, why is this happening to me? And why is it that I'm not succeeding? You have two choices, either to give up or to, you know, cry. I'm telling you, cry. It's easy, you know, cry, brush off your tears and say, you know what, why not? Let's try again, you know, because you should have only that second choice wherein you pull up your socks and you say, you know what, Zara se Zada, what will happen? I'll again fail. But then, so what? So what? So what? It's okay. It's fine. So yeah, I think there have been numerous moments, Shashi. I am what I am today. I'm very proud to say that I have a wonderful family who supported me. Domestic help is something which I always mention in all of my interviews, because I feel, especially in India, without domestic help, you cannot, any woman can't be where she is, where she wants to do a little more than what is expected out of her. So I want to thank all of them. But at the same time, I would say that 99% of the success, I would not give it to anyone else. I would take the total credibility on my own shoulders, because I've lived those moments. I have cried in darkness alone, but here I am sitting in front of you very proudly, because I think that, it's important to move on. That's the reason I always tell that when you say your name, Vijayanti or Shashi, remember, it's just not your identity when you say it. It's your responsibility. So that the last breath that you take, you tell yourself, I was responsible enough. So that is the way I am.
Yeah, that's really inspiring and motivating, Vejdi, when you're sharing these. And I really congratulate you the way you go through, and then the way you took responsibility. Because as you shared and you said, that's so true and so correct. Because many moments we find it's easy to complain, it's easy to put on other shoulders. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It happens a lot. But same time, what we can do from our side, as what way we are. So having all our responsibility on ourselves is important. So Vajanti, when we are talking about it, you really bought a lot of sensitive topic. You worked on those sensitive topic, and those are very important, as you said, body shaming, body proud, and transgender, these topics, considering when we are coming from a background like from India, right? And it's still a big fight for even having equality for men, women, and all, even third eye, as we are talking about transgender. So how you find that? Because there is still so much stigma, there's so much imbalance in society. And when we are talking about these, they find themselves, this is one more, already there are women, they're asking this, right? This kind of response, I believe, because I have done my research and all, I found that because there was a movement, even they are economically independent, but they feel like they don't recognize us. So how you find when you are working on these topics? Did you find, you shared, people said, why you want to do this? Like always pull back, always threshold. Why you are doing this? They would try to change your mindset. They will try to say, no need, it is fine. We are living in good way. We are living in good society. But when you are doing this, what kind of response you find a part of that? Because as you said, there are pullbacks, and same time some are pushing you up. So when you are doing all this, would you like to share maybe some story or some moment where you find that very strongly?
Shashi, I just said that, it's all about conditioning, the way you're conditioned and how you are brought up. And so I think in any community, be it India or America, where so much of Black oppression is there,
Yes,
or
that's true.
but every society has its own pluses and minuses. I always believe that conditioning of a person really results to where his or her opinions lie. So today, if I am having an argument with a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old, it's not his or her emotions that are speaking, it's more the conditioning. So first, I always tell the parents, condition your children to an approach of thought process which is more acceptable, which is more porous, which is more transparent. Because if your conditioning is good, then you would not need so many dialogues and seminars and projects to talk on, So definitely, even today, yes, I agree, Shashi, when you say that whether it is talking about body shaming or if I tell you about my own story, forget strangers, even your own family members or your friends, where friends are supposed to be non-judgmental. They are not your family.
Right.
even let friends, and I am the beautiful 4'11", the
Yeah.
tallest in my frame. But
Yes.
in my frame, my few of my close friends would go, they would call me the basement. They obviously they call it
Nice.
with love, but they don't realize that it might be a little offensive,
Yeah.
So I actually tell them, I can be rude or I can answer them back, but I answer them silently in my brain. You know what? You see the 4'11" above the ground, but you don't see the remaining under the ground. So you need a vision to see how much I am below the ground. You just
Mm-hmm.
see what is superficial, which is above the ground. So
Mm-hmm.
there have been many instances, Shashi, wherein in my own personal life, I have gone through body shaming or, the brutality of being born in a rich family. But
Mm.
I always tell people that, that the best thing is to pick up the positive pebbles out of it and throw it out in the community. And the best way we can do it, Shashi, I think in any community, is by conditioning your children well. Once someone had told me once that you can never change a 50-year-old or a 40-year-old's mindset, but we can
Mm.
definitely impact towards the better a young mindset. And that's
Mm.
exactly what I try and do through my talks and dialogues and seminars, wherein if I'm able to impact and sort of module the adults in a better mindset, maybe they'll be able to groom their children a little more better. So yes, we've come a very long way, Shashi, from the times I remember when I did the Transgender Summit, or when I did, places when I gave spaces to homepreneurs to come forward and showcase their ideation. Have done a lot of competitions, etc., where they've come forward and they've competed, and they would
Mm.
say that I've never competed in my life, and thank you, I got this chance to do it, and it's encouraged me to come out of my closet and see more people and get motivated. I think. I'm just very happy doing what I'm doing. And
Mm.
when people come and they say that they're getting inspired and they themselves want to start a project like this or do something on their own, seeing my some work which must have motivated them, I think that's the best energy exchange that I can
Yeah.
expect. So
Yeah.
as I said in my earlier conversation to you, that positivity should be actually made contagious, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So yes, to answer to your to your question, conditioning plays a very, very important role, and I am just here to change that mindset of people so that they can better condition the generations to come.
Yes, and I can feel that your positivity is really contagious, not for me, but it is for our audience, our listeners as well. So, Vajanti, moving ahead, you are very authentic, very your own way, having your leadership, your work style. And if may I ask you, how you define this your leadership style?
Take responsibility, and my leadership is that I plan a lot, Shashi. I still believe in the traditional method of penning down things to do, and I think I'm best at my best if I'm working alone. So I think I do delegate work. I love working with interns because I think they are a powerhouse of resources, energy, dedication, discipline. So, as a leadership myself, I think I plan a lot. And I divide my time very articulately. So, if you are able to handle your time with the output that you want to give and have the correct planning, I do a lot of timestamps to my work, that I need to finish this then and finish this that. So, and then, to have two teenagers at home, who take a lot of your time, especially in this COVID times where they want their mom to cook and they want their mom to be around. And then I have a husband who is equally like a third teenager. So, yes, it's difficult, but at the same time, I like this because I'm a planner. I think one of my strongest leadership virtue is I plan and I put everything down in writing as to what all needs to be done. Ticking off and crosses are my forte, where this is done and this is not done. So I think playing the old school rules till today for me are the true leadership tools and toolkit which I would like to tell people. Plan ahead, delegate, use your time, divide your time well, know your focus, know your input, know your output, and yeah, and I think I am sure it's going to definitely, and in the process, don't be rigid. Like, I am not rigid, Shashi. I like taking advices. I like talking to people about what I'm doing. So I get a lot of feedbacks from them. Vijayanti, do this. Vijayanti, you can even do this and that. I'm not scared that my idea would be stolen. A lot of people tell me, why do you discuss? Like, your idea might get stolen. I said they can definitely steal my idea, but they cannot originate the idea. You know, the originality of the vision still would be with me. So I'm not scared of that. You know, I like telling people this is what I have in mind, this is what I want to do. I love the feedback that comes my way. At the end of the day, I keep using this word, be porous, you know, be like a sponge, take in whatever it comes to you, and don't ever be saturated, because that is truly your leadership quality.
Yeah, so be a sponge and keep yourself open for keep learning and sharing with others. That's beautiful advice and suggestion to our audience. So Vajanti, when we are talking about it, we are on a platform of Women Dialogue Global Talk Show, where we inspire, motivate, and create voice for self and for others. There are many, even silent voice, they can get inspired and can by hearing, by understanding, by learning. So what message would you like to give to them?
I would just
those
say,
are silent voice, those are just like, as we are talking a lot of our things, right? But many times the encouragement, how we can,
believe in your calling, ask yourself, do you really want to do this? Don't do it because someone else is doing. Yes, get motivated, get inspired, and I always say that you might be hearing a lot of sounds around you, a lot of noises around you, you know, but to actually channelize that noise into a music piece is something which is totally yours, and you can create any music out of it. So it's like a clutter of sounds around you. Someone is doing this, someone is doing that, and you want to do this and you want to do that, and you might think I'll fail in this. So there are a lot of noises, you know. Failure has a noise, and someone's success has noise, and so, but then to understand and pick up the notes around you and put it into your own music piece. So what if you play it and you don't like it and others don't like it? It's all right. Just change the notes again, reshuffle it, and make another music piece. You know, the music consonant, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, sa, is like going to be the same. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But then you can, at the end of the day, you can make any music piece out of it. And, you know, you can be Beethoven or you can be anyone else. It's the same music consonants which are there. So what I'm trying to tell you is there'll be opportunities, there'll be failures, there'll be success, there will be motivations, there will be inspirations, but you can channelize it. The beauty of your power is that you can channelize it the way you want to, and even if it does not resonate with people around, does not resonate with you at the end of the day, it's okay. Just change the pieces and do it. And I would also want to say one more thing, Shashi. It's okay if you want to rest for a bit, and if you want to take a pause and you don't want to do for the next 6 months, but don't tell yourself in that 6 months that I'm a failure. Tell yourself you're just like rebooting, doing something else. All right, it's not that today the project has failed. Today you're not able to generate sales, or you're not able to generate popularity. So tomorrow you need to start an immediate project. No, give yourself time. Go back to your to probably where you think you must have made the mistakes, and start afresh. So it's okay to take time. As I said, pause, don't stop. You have the music note. You make your own piece of melody.
Yes, that's, I think, beautiful advice. And I hope the women and our, especially all our audience and listeners, they might be listening and taking in the same way as we always say, those silent voice, don't feel yourself, you are alone, you are not having those beautiful music notes, and take it like you are taking a pause to get yourself recharged for with new energy and to get shine further. So, Vajanti, in the same way, why do you think the platform like this, Women Dialogue, is needed?
Definitely, Shashi, women dialogues is so important because I would want to, that's the reason I congratulated you in the beginning of our conversation, is because we women, however different we are, some of the emotions and workability is the same. So even if we are coming from different corners of the world, we might be having similar stories, but maybe our approach towards that is different. Because as I remember, I talked about conditioning. It's because our conditioning has been different. People around us have been conditioned differently to give us that particular approach. So when you have platforms like Women Dialogues, and we share our stories here, and we share our personalities and our journeys, so we get a voice, voice to tell people these were our mistakes. Okay, go ahead, make them, but don't forget, somewhere maybe we've also had success somewhere, so duplicate it, because it's important to duplicate success, and platforms like yours gives that inability to people to duplicate success. So again, Shashi, I would like to congratulate you on Women Dialogues.
Thank you. Thank you. And hearing this, it's really inspiring, motivating, putting me more enthusiasm to keep going on, to bring more women voice and keep their vision in a line, to bring shine, to growth, to develop not only our speakers, but to, as I always say, to others as our audience. So thank you so much, Vajanti, for sharing your time, your vision, your knowledge, your experiences, and more a lot. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Shashi. All the very best to you for all your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks to all our viewers. If you are listening and watching us, please keep watching and getting inspired. Keep learning. Keep getting motivation. Don't give up. Don't feel you are stuck. We are here to support you, to motivate you. Connect with us, share, subscribe, and like. And if you would like to get connect with Vajanti, who is very positive mindset and having a lot of work, her details are available in the description as well. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.